Hello, I found this assignment very interesting because, to begin with, my name is part of my heritage because my name comes from my great-grandmother on my father's side, Emma, and my great-grandmother on my mother's side, who is Mary Lena Shelton. I was born in New Jersey, which is where my father is from, and all of his family back through the Ayreses were all from New Jersey, and also his mother's family was from New Jersey until they moved in their retirement to Florida. I am the first of my family to graduate from college and have a master's degree. My father, he did not graduate from high school but went back and got his GED. And I don't know the education of his parents or the parents after, but I assume that they were not very educated either. My dad was worked in lawn maintenance most of his life, but had very different jobs from being a police officer at one point, and that's where he met my mom. He was doing the traffic on the corner of the street and met my mom, who made a trip to New Jersey because her brother had moved there. So my dad's family goes back to his parents, Stanley and May, and then Stanley's parents were Charles and Sophrona. And my brother, who's done some history on that side of the family, said that she was German, but we don't know her parents. And then Charles's family was a John Ayres. Then my grandmother's family, May, she was a Burnett, and those go back to New Jersey as well. Then my mom's family, which I found to be more interesting, and then we had a lot more background on. My mom is Jessie Ruth Bryan, and she grew up in Tennessee, where her father, Charlie Bryan, and his parents, John Reed Bryan, lived. And my grandfather owned 200 acres of land, and he was a farmer for his whole life. And he married Una Elizabeth Dye. So my grandfather's family, they go back to I think I actually found 6 generations on my grandfather's side. Interestingly, a lot of them were Johns. But then my grandmother's side we had a lot more history on my grandmother's side. She was from David MacDye, and he had 3 wives, and my grandmother was from his second wife, Mary Lena. His third wife was a Jimmy Lena Bell, and her first husband was Robert Lee Shelton. So I wondered if Mary Lena and Robert were in some way related, but I didn't have time really to look that up. Well, David Mac Dye, his father was William Ross Dye, and he married a Duncan. Now, in my family, behind where my mom's property is, there's an Adam Duncan cemetery that would have been related to these particular Duncans. And my grandparents, the Dyes, are buried there in that cemetery, as well as the Sheltons, some of the Sheltons. But then on my mom's side, found out that there's a Harvey Ransom Shelton, married to Margaret Elizabeth Shelton, and Harvey was a member. Okay, trying to get that to open, of the Coffee County Grand Jury, and was finally remembered for his peddling wagon and bullhorn. So it sounds like he was quite a character. And they had 10 children his wife had 10 children. Harvey's parents were really Preston Shelton and Matilda Ann Gibson, and they also had 10 children. And he was appointed to the Coffee County Guard of Minutemen. And at one point, he was accused by the Union soldiers of killing one of their soldiers and was dragged from his house and faced a firing squad. But his wife convinced the Yankees that he was innocent. So all this information was found in a book that was compiled about Jesse Shelton, who married a Lydia Kill, and they had 15 children, 3 by Lydia and 12 by Nancy Montgomery. And it's recorded that they have 5 slaves. Well, Jesse's parents were Stephen Shelton and Aranda Shelton. Now, in between there's some time that's lost that I suppose if I had some more time, I could find the connection. But there was a John, he was called John Gentleman Shelton, who came over to the United States, and it was said that he and his father had a fleet of ships that sailed over, and they were under the commission of James I. And at one point they were also settled in Jamestown. The date was 1620. So that was interesting. And then if you go back even farther, there's a connection to King Henry VIII. His second wife, Mary Boleyn, Mary Boleyn's aunt is Anne Boleyn also. No, I'm sorry, it was Anne Boleyn was his second wife. And Anne Boleyn was her aunt by the same name. But she married a Shelton. And again, there's a lot of Johns. So John Shelton was her uncle, and so that's a connection to Henry VIII. So this was all very interesting, and it all goes back to England. So they speak English-speaking royalty at one point, and became farmers in the new America. Thank you for listening.